I'm Christina Fuges with MoldMaking Technology Magazine, and we're here at Westminster Tool in Plainfield, Connecticut. And this shop doesn't have a skilled labor shortage.
I'm Pete Zelinski with Modern Machine Shop Magazine. Westminster has found a different way. This mold maker doesn't hire for metalworking skills. It hires for character traits, trains in emotional intelligence, and the metalworking skills follow. We came here to see what they're doing. Let's take a look.
It really started with we were unable to fill a position. After posting for the job, spending over $10,000, we got 4 qualified candidates. 3 were retired looking for part-time work, and 1 would have required relocation, which wasn't really possible because he had a family. So that's when we kind of realized the company is going to die unless we train our future workforce. But within that, it was also, how are we going to make our company not only sustain, but thrive? What if everyone could share failures? What if we had a company where family really was first? What if everybody cared about each other's personal well-being? To make a company of 40 people, let alone 10 people, all actually care about each other is a lot harder than you would think.
There was a time in the past where you would have looked at credentials, experience, skills, and you're looking for different things now. Talk about that.
We're looking to see what values that person stands for, what behaviors that support those values, and selflessness is something that's important. Humility is another thing that's important. If you get the right person in the right environment that shows proficiency in self, we have found we get there way faster. We want to train more efficiently, we want to communicate more efficiently. All of these things come down to that human interaction. I don't care if you have 100 people that are highly skilled. They're never going to get better if they think they have all the answers.
So the first thing that we learned was, obviously, I would start with continuous learning. So we knew we were going to have to be in an organization that was continuously learning because we were going to have to grow the workforce and the talent pool ourselves. The old tool making style was you were basically, just beat up until you figured it out, right? Figure it out on your own. You didn't know, somebody made fun of you, and then eventually, you'd figure it out. We needed them to figure it out like now, like yesterday.
The essence of what Westminster Tool has done, they used to hire for skill. That's not working anymore. Now they hire for the ability to learn. They know they have to train internally, so they have to get every impediment they can out of the way of your ability to learn. And so there are so many aspects to that.
Emotional intelligence.
Which is emotional intelligence. It is your own emotions. It is
self-awareness.
Awareness of the walls you put up in front of other people who are trying to explain something to you.
Communication. It's all about communication.
It's all about communication, and communication isn't the words we say, it's what we allow ourselves to listen to.
Exactly. Emotional intelligence to me is maintaining composure, being aware of your emotions, really not having any outbursts, thinking before you say anything, thinking about what you're saying and how the other person would perceive it.
You can kind of stop, drop your emotion, process the situation, and really just go after the fix instead of going after the person that may or may not have made the mistake. And you have to understand that nobody's making a mistake on purpose, so there's no point on getting really upset with them. It's just, I make mistakes, you make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes, but it's how you come back from that is really the culture that we're in.
You've created this culture where people can come in without machining skills and begin to learn and become successful. What steps did you have to take? What investments did you have to take to change a culture?
I had to first change myself. I had to change the way that I think, the way I look at myself, the way I look at my business as a whole. And I had to change the strategy and get my organization to buy into that strategy. Early on, we spent several $100,000s on training initiatives and a continuous improvement in lean push, and we saw no shift in our metrics. We did not have the understanding of the importance of emotional intelligence and embracing curiosity in order to learn. Once we started teaching the emotional intelligence piece, that's when we saw a drastic shift.
Emotional intelligence is something I use daily. For me, it's changed my whole outlook on how I interact with employees, how I interact with personally with my family. You know, I think 6 years ago there was maybe 20 of us here. Now there's close to 40. Back then, everybody pretty much did their own job, didn't really come together as a team very much. Fast forward 6 years to now, everybody is really dynamic. If there's a problem, everybody gets involved and we work together for a solution through that problem as a team.
Our global metric is throughput per person. When we started this journey, the throughput per person number did not even blip. We had 20 industry vets, and our throughput number was what it had been for the previous 5 years. Our average age was 50. You fast forward to today, our average age now is 31, and our throughput has gone up 60% in 2 years. And keep in mind, there's been zero technology investment. All of our investment has been in the infrastructure and the efforts to improve our human capital. And you don't see the investment, and the banks don't understand it, but from a human capital standpoint, we put all of our money, or the profits that we were making at the time. If you say, oh, I can't afford to train somebody, I have data to support, you're dead wrong.
When I first met Ray and I visited this shop, it just felt odd. I felt they were training into the people ways to behave. That's exactly the opposite of what's happening. It's knowing yourself, listening to others, not assuming things about other people. I mean, it really boils down to that communication. And you can only communicate better if you're able to understand why you feel a certain way about a person, a situation, a problem, a solution.
When you're in the trade for over 20 years, any change is bad. When it was approached to me about the culture change, I was a little bit hesitant just because that's not the way I learned the trade. I learned the trade by trial and error, and I felt that we were trying to hand everything off on a silver platter to the upcoming employees. After I thought about it a little bit more, I realized that it's the right thing to do, and you're giving the incoming employees a big advantage by giving this information. All these training programs that we come up with, it really advances them in their career probably 5 years immediately from where I started. I love seeing new employees come in because I love to teach. I love to show somebody, hey, this is how you design a mold, this is how you get around this problem, and then to sit back and watch them use that training I give them, to me that's worth it tenfold.
I had no manufacturing experience prior to coming here. This is actually my first job. It was very intimidating because everything was very new to me, but everyone was so friendly, so it wasn't really a problem at all. Westminster Academy is an online training database on our company's intranet. It has courses and lessons that you can constantly update. The last thing I added proficiency in was the soda cold poker. That's because yesterday I actually worked on it for the first time, so today I was able to actually update a couple of the proficiencies, as in like turning it on, threading the wire.
So Westminster Academy is a map. There's over 20 apprenticeship maps right now. So a map is the position that a person is going into, and it goes over everything that you can imagine that you would need to know. This is the area that you're going to be working in. This is who your customer is. You are this person's customer. This is our function. This is what we're trying to do. These are some of the checklists and the documentation that you'll be utilizing in this position.
I thought it was interesting that you said maps are related to positions. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no job titles in Westminster.
There's not.
So how is a position different from a job title?
When you think about a position, it's this is what I need to do in order to do X. Your job title is to serve the customer, whether it's your internal customer or your external customer.
When Ray started rolling out the Westminster Academy initiative, it was tasked on the people that were younger in their manufacturing career to document the things that they didn't know. On a daily basis, we were tasked with documenting anything from starting up your machine to setting up a part or creating a program. The intention of those documents is to pass on to the person after you so that they can learn those specific tasks quicker. The most recent training document I've created is a document on complex setups. So that's when you have to set up a part and you have to use a sign plate or a sign bar. It kind of goes through making sure that you got the right gauge blocks stack up, making sure that your part and your roll are against the same plane so you don't have a bad pickup. The documents have gotten more complex as I've gained more experience, and that's kind of helped keep a wide range of documentation in the EDM area.
Companies say employees are our greatest asset. Every company says that. Is it true or not? Because this company shows what it looks like to really invest in employees. And it's costly, and it takes time, and it's painful in some ways, and it has real implications for the culture. And culture change is the hardest change of all.
We want to have an organization that focuses on improving the quality of life of everybody around it, right? We're going to focus on helping people realize and reach their greatest potential. That is our business plan.
So for anybody watching this that is intrigued and wants to take that first step, what is the first step?
Figuring out what you want. Your team needs to know what, and they need to know why. And then you can start implementing. But if you start implementing without that, you can't get buy-in. Without buy-in, you're not going to get anywhere. We could have done this in half the time had we just done that. A lot of people will see this and say, yeah, that's great, but it would never work. Well, it won't work because you have 5 people who, you have all these exceptions. So what you have to do is create such a simple kind of, this is who we are and what we're doing. Once you create and you have a good definition, it's very easy to see what fits and what doesn't.